Yo, what's up? It's October. It's a Brain Hole podcast up in this bitch. Welcome, my brainiacs. Since it is October, we're gonna be using this intro for the rest of the month, and then we'll find some Thanksgiving music to do. All right, everybody, welcome to the Brain Hole podcast. Thank you all for joining me. So I did record, an episode on film last week, but sorry, I felt like I had to yell there for a little bit. I did record a video podcast last week, but I can't seem to find a way to how to upload it to YouTube. So until then, I'm still going to be recording them because once I figure it out, then I will be able to. I'll still have the content, so I'll be able to throw it in there and have it ready and steady go. Yo, it's like every time I do this, I feel like it's been forever. It feels like it's been forever. And this is what it. I'm sorry for those of you that are just listening, but this is what it looks like. Oh, let's see if we can get into focus. Nope. Okay, so you're just seeing a blank white piece of paper, but that's what it looks like when I write down all the shit that I'm observing throughout the week, man. And yeah, it's what we talk about, man. I see shit and that's how we start. So I thought this was pretty funny, man. One of the girls I know I talk a lot about work, but hey, that's where I spend a lot of my time. So, and by the way, my window's open, so you're gonna hear fucking noise and shit. Cars driving by. I don't think anybody cares. But there's this girl at work sometime last week, and she asked me she goes hey, when's your birthday? And I said well, my birthday's January 3rd, and she goes, oh my god, no wonder, man. She goes, you're a Capricorn, and dude, look, I don't believe in astrology or your horoscopes and all that shit, but um, and I just kind of laughed with her at first, and then about 10-15 minutes later, I go, what do you mean, like no wonder, what? And she goes on to tell me, she goes, well, you're an asshole. So she starts off with, oh, well, you're an asshole, and you just don't give a fuck, and you have a really weird sense of humor, and you're fucked up, and you say whatever you want to, and you don't give a shit. And I was like, yeah, man, that's cool, dude. I can appreciate that shit. But I just love how she started off with saying, dude, you're an asshole, man. Um, and so, uh, and so she just proceeds to tell me, she's like, yeah, my best friend, she's a Capricorn, and she's the same way you are. She doesn't give a shit, and yeah, dude. Guess that's why I do this podcast, because I don't give a shit. Really, I'm I'm so uninterested in how people feel about shit that's true, like shit that's real. Like if I insult you just for the sake of insulting you, that's one thing. But if I mention something is that is true and somewhat and relevant, and it bothers you, then you need to check yourself, because dude, like, if something bothers you about saying something, and you take it personal, Well, guess what? Maybe you're fucked up in that kind of a way. So what you're supposed to do instead of getting offended is fix the shit, right? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? I need to take a, I need to take a, I need to take a deep breath here, man. I had to set up all this stuff, man. It took me like half an hour to get everything set up and ready and going, so that I can, record, man, because I haven't done it in a while. Um, I'm curious, like, to you guys listening, do you believe in destiny, like what's meant to be or what happens happens? Like, do you believe that your future is already predetermined? I think that's I don't believe that there is a specific day that is picked and that'll be your demise or your rise. I like to believe that we have a lot more control over our lives, but because if we don't, then you can pretty much do whatever you want to without, well, I don't know. I guess you'd have to have the foresight. Because you'd have to have the foresight so that you could do whatever you wanted to. But nobody can tell the future, man. So it's a thing that's hard to play with, you know. And you can't really test it either. I mean, because what happens happens, and either you do according to whatever happened, or you don't do according to whatever happened or is gonna happen and happens. So, so I don't know. I think it varies per person. It varies. I think I think there probably are some people that are, predisposed to have a certain type of life, regardless of what happens or regardless of what they do. I don't know. It's you can't test it, man. You know, you have to you have to fucking work, and you have to do whatever you can so you can have a certain life that you want. You know, so like going with the flow is a pretty good idea. I think there's different levels to this shit. Like going with the flow is pretty dope. But you gotta know when to fight the waters, dude. You know, you gotta know when to put up a fight sometimes too. You can't just fucking throw everything away. But life is the shit, man. You need to enjoy it. That's that's really a big thing. You gotta understand that shit's gonna happen. It's never gonna stop. It's never gonna stop. Just gotta clip, clop. All right. Is that a little bit better? That is a little bit better. All right. Sorry about that. Sorry, man. I apologize too much on this fucking show, dude. This is a show, dude. This is a show, dude. Thank you guys for listening. Uh, I, like when I run into people and they're like, "Yo, listen to your last podcast." Like, hey, thanks. It like warms up my heart, dude. You know, it's pretty dope. Um, so I actually saw this the other day. I saw this the other day, and it used to happen all the time when I lived in Florida. And have I talked about Florida on the show? Have I talked about Florida on the fucking podcast, dude? I fucking hate Florida. Okay, it's disgusting. It stinks. You take a shower and then you go outside and you gotta shower again. Everyone smells like sweaty ball sacks. It's fucking disgusting. Now, to make it even better, I used to see this shit all the fucking time. I used to see two dudes on one motorcycle, bro. Like one dude driving it and the other one riding his ass, like on him. And it was a little bit like usually when you do that, like You can there's on the back of the bike you can like put your arms back there to hold yourself, but a lot of the times there isn't one of those on the bike. And so the dude literally has to hug the other fool in front of him. Bro, I flipped my shit because it was common to see this. It wasn't like, "Oh my god, that's I've never seen that before in my life and it'll probably never happen again." Nah, nigga. That shit happened all the time. I used to see that shit all the time. It's like, fuck, dude. That is fucking hate Florida, bro. Florida's like Florida's like ugh. I mean shit, you guys see the fucking stories on YouTube and the news and stuff about crazy Floridians, man. I'll never go back there, dude. Not for anything. Not for fucking anything. One more time, never again. Fuck that place, bro. And if you want to defend Florida, dude, go fuck yourself, alright? Because you have obviously never lived there before. People who defend Florida, they went to Disney and that was it. It's like, no, dude, you don't know shit about what Florida is like. And even going to Disney World sucks. Ugh. You going to I hate Disney, dude. They're ruining everything. They're buying out all the media and then fucking ruining franchises, like ruining Marvel and so I just read that Disney's trying to buy Spider-Man for $3 billion from Sony, which is like whatever, dude. I I'll watch the movies. I don't I don't go out to see them. I don't watch the Marvel movies in the theaters. I wait till they come out and they kind of saturate, and everybody stops talking about them for a while, and then I'll end up watching them. You know, when they pop up on Netflix or something. I don't really spend the money. Yo, I did watch the Joker though. I know everybody's been talking about the Joker, man. That I was thinking about doing a little section on it, to talk about it on the podcast. But dude, everybody's talked about it so much. It's just like it's like nah. Who cares what I think about it, right? Um, the one thing that honestly I haven't heard, I haven't really heard about the Joker is it was very political. And if you think of Thomas Wayne, uh, if you don't know, that's Bruce Wayne's dad. If you don't know who the fuck Bruce Wayne is, well, go fuck yourself. You shouldn't be watching or listening to this shit. Um, if you think of Thomas Wayne as Donald Trump, and you think of the Joker as the liberal idea, the influence, you know, if you don't think of him as just one person, if you think of him as an idea, and then you see all these clowns that in the movie that are out rallying and causing chaos and shit, and you think about them as Antifa covering their faces and just causing trouble, dude. Like I kind of started making those connections, and then I start listening to people's reviews on the movie, and they started talking about the incel violence and like if you don't know what an incel is involuntary celibacy. So it's somebody to uh who doesn't want to not have sex. They want to have sex, but they don't want to, like they physically don't want to. They can't. They mentally can't. So they're involuntary celibates. And so the fucking media is going crazy talking about, and this is right before the movie came out, of course, because now the movie came out, everybody saw it, and hey, nothing happened, yeah. But they were talking about it inciting incel violence and shit, dude. So it's like, bro, These fucking guys can't get motivated enough to get pussy, bro. So you're telling me that they're gonna get motivated enough to go and actually hurt and kill somebody just because this movie came out and it's inciting that they should go out and be violent? Oh, dude, that's it. Just doesn't make sense to me. You know, it's a lot easier to get motivated to want to fuck somebody than to get motivated to kill somebody. But that's what the liberal media is trying to do, man. They want. It's weird, dude. It's so fucking weird. They're so backwards, dude. Excuse me. They're so fucking backwards, dude. It's like they worry so much about they worry so much about um they worry so much about immigrants, and they worry so much about people dying in wars, and they worry so much about all this shit. But they, but they support abortion, which kills millions of children, unborn babies, and sometimes in some cases born babies, millions of them a year. That doesn't make that it does it's lunacy, man. I don't even use that word, but it just sounds it's appropriate. It's crazy shit, dude. Water is so fucking good. Oh my god. Dude, it's a problem. It's a fucking problem, man. Cuz I drink so much water and I don't work out, so I don't sweat it out. So I don't so I literally well, every time I say literally, I'm just going to do it like that. I literally don't get sleep because I'm up all night pissing. I don't get any fucking sleep, dude. And then sometimes I get sleep. I got sleep once, dude. Bro, man, these people are so backwards, dude. It doesn't make sense to me. That's the problem with that's the problem with people basing things that they do off of feelings, off of their feelings and shit, man. That's a really big problem, man, because you end up in this place of doing things illogically, and it's weird. It's like when you're a teenager, like 15, 16, whatever, and you've had your first love, like your first love, dude, and then you guys break up, and it's the worst thing that has ever happened. Up until that point, it's like your heart hurts, your stomach hurts. You can't look at pictures of them. You can't hear other people with the same name. you know, you're just illogical. It's like that feeling is a drug, dude. You are physically sick. You're emotionally, physically sick. Yeah, dude. It's like it's like being addicted to something and not having it until and then you do stupid shit for love, man. You do shit you normally wouldn't do. So, but it's great, man. that's what that's what that's what we're fucking that's what we get that's what we need in our lives. We need that other person to just kind of to we urge for it. It's in our fucking DNA, dude. And when you try to switch that up, then I don't know. I don't know what happens. But I'm into my one year of being single, and I've been able to do this with you guys, and just build back up and fucking put money away, dude. Feels good to have all that extra money, man. Not spending it on somebody. But the point is like, you, when you're in love and shit, you don't think logically. So when you start running around and making decisions, um, and that you're not using your brain, you're just being driven by your emotions and your feelings, then you end up like these people wanting to save illegal immigrants who are illegal, not supposed to be here, and also at the same time killing babies. Yeah, maybe I should move a little bit. I guess I didn't really center the camera. Is that good? Is that pretty good? I wonder what it. I guess I kind of know, but what is it? What is it that intrigues us so much about scary shit? I think throughout the month I'm gonna touch on some. This probably isn't so much, but I'm gonna try to touch on some kind of dark, morbid shit. And I'll kind of try to make fun of it too at the same time, cause yo, this is a comedy podcast, motherfuckers, and this is what we do around here. You know what I'm saying? All right. I think that's gonna be a lot better. But I don't really like, especially especially since I'm doing the video podcast. I don't really like doing this because my whole face is kind of covered. I'm actually covering my face on purpose. Right. I don't necessarily need to do that. Dude, I'm surprised that I'm able to fucking do this podcast. I don't, it's weird. Like, I've kind of been opening up a little bit more the past couple of years, last year or so, because I don't like to talk to people, and I know I've already done. I know I've already said this, but I don't really like having conversations. It's mostly the small talk thing. I don't like having small talk. It's so mundane and boring. Yeah, but I'm surprised that I can do this and talk for an hour a week by myself. It's fun. I love it. So throughout this month, and you know what? Whenever I feel like it, we're gonna get into some morbid stuff, and we'll make fun of it too, cause we have fun around here, dude. But I am curious as to like what is it specifically? Like, what is it specifically that that drives us or sparks an interest in us having in the interest of like scary movies and just dark shit, you know. I mean, I think because on the opposite spectrum, it's kind of boring, you know. It's kind of boring to I don't know what it would it be like to be perfect and everything be sunny and pink and flowery and perfect all the time. I already said perfect. um, yeah, dude, that's boring, isn't it? Just boring shit. But it's cool, man. And it's not just because of this month. I watch horror movies all the time. Uh, Shit, it's October every month for me, bro. But I think part of it is like spark up this sparks our imagination of like the existence of something that that may or may not be real. I mean, who's to know? I think it's crazy, dude, cuz my light just went out. I don't know if you guys can tell. My light just went out. Let's see if this one will help. Um, but man, dude, all right. So when and now some of you might believe this or not. None of my intention here is to convince you of anything. I'm gonna tell you what myself and my family experienced and what all of us have and had experienced, and they can all confirm it. So you can give them a phone call. You can call them on their phones, and then you can ask them if this shit really happened, dude. Right? Right? So I don't know how old I was. I would say I was around 7 or 8 years old. And then my older brother and sister, they were probably about 10, 11. And we used to live in this house in Spokane. And and the house belonged to gypsies before we moved in. And the reason that we knew that is because behind the house there was an alleyway, and behind the alleyway or across the alleyway was where the gypsies had moved to. So they just moved to a different house right across the street. And so my parents befriended them. I don't think they had any kids. They were like they were older people, and they did have kids, but their kids were probably my parents' age, you know. So they didn't have any kids our age. So I don't really remember hanging out with them like that. Excuse me. But if you know anything about and look, we grew up totally Christian, up the ass, all that shit. Okay. Um. So if you know anything about gypsies, they kind of dabble. They dabble in like I don't I don't want to call it voodoo, but I guess that's the best way I can explain it. Uh, for you lot to understand what I'm talking about. Well, anyways, we're in this house for God. I don't know how long we were there for in the total time, but I would say about 8 months to a year after living there. Like we all started noticing creepy shit going on, and I remember I was chilling downstairs in my room, and I think one of my brothers, I think my brother or one of my sisters came downstairs and got me, and they're like, something's wrong with mom. And so we run upstairs and we go into their bedroom, and my dad has a Bible on my mom's chest, and he's praying, and she's just like doing this, like moving her head left and right, and her voice has changed, and like like her face doesn't look the same. Like she's physically different, you know. And you can tell. And my dad's praying, and he's telling us, "Close your eyes, close your eyes, don't have your eyes open." And then later on, I learned that well, it's apparently the eyes are the biggest sinners, so it's the most vulnerable. And so if your eyes are open, if your eyes are open, then that gives a chance for demons to come in as she's being exorcised and those demons are coming out. Then that makes you vulnerable for them to enter your body or some shit so that you're possessed. Dude, saying this shit sounds so fucking stupid, you know. But hey, look, this is what this is what happened, man. And and so he's doing that for like I don't know, it's about half an hour to 45 minutes, where he's trying to pray for, where he is praying for her and trying to exorcise the demons, trying to get all these demons out of her and shit, you know. And eventually, I guess he tells one of my older brother or sister, call Pastor David, who's good friends of the family, and call the pastor and call your grandparents. And so, dude, like at this point, it's probably like midnight or something, okay? And so we call them. The pastor and his wife show up. My grandparents show up with my aunt, and by that time, we got into the living room, and I remember that there was this closet. There's this closet in the hallway, that you can see from the living room, and I don't know who it was, but they opened up the closet, and this huge gush of air, just like a huge gust of air, just from the living room flew up into that closet. And in that closet there's a thing, like a thing on the ceiling, and you can move it, and I think you had access to the attic. So so all these people are here are over at the house, and they're in a circle, and they're praying, and my mom's in the middle, and she's like throwing herself on the ground, and like honestly, like in some of those exorcist movies and shit, like it's the erratic behavior is that behavior is pretty it's pretty similar. And it's weird, bro. Like I remember her turning into like three or four different people in this shit, dude. And like one, she looked like cause dude, they're like, yo, you guys, you gotta keep your eyes closed. I'm like, bruh, I want to see what's going on, dude. You know, like it's I don't know, it intrigued me. You gotta look. How could you not look? You know, and so she's transforming into these different people, and one of them was like she turned into this really old lady, and then she became like hunchback, and she was really frail, and she was speaking some other language nobody understood. But I guess we kind of concluded that it was like the gypsy, the old gypsy lady that lived across the street. They concluded that it was her possessing my mom uh, during that time. And then there's another there's like another moment when when my mom was one of these demons or some shit, and she got into my aunt's ear, and she told her like some lesbian shit because I guess my aunt had some lesbian experience when she was a lot younger. Like not that she like got with another girl, but I think it was more of along the lines of like she had a best friend, and that best friend revealed that she was gay, and that she tried to hook up with my aunt, and my aunt was traumatized by that shit, I guess, because we're Christians, and they're from a generation before us, so that was like super taboo, bro. Like now it's normal for people to be gay and shit, but back then, like in the 70s, and yeah, I would say it was around the 70s, um, and in the mentality state that my family is in this Christian fucking lifestyle, um, that traumatized her, bro. And so like she's super against like lesbians because of it. Oh fuck, it's so good. And this shit, dude, like I don't know. I would say it's about 3 or 4 in the morning at about this point where they kept praying, and then eventually, I suppose they got rid of all the demons. I don't fucking know. Or maybe my mom just stopped having a fucking schizophrenic episode. I don't really know, dude. I just I don't believe that there's any religion has got it right. I don't believe that shit. And I think you're a really arrogant person to think that your religion is the right one. I think you're really arrogant to believe that to believe that because first of all, nobody fucking knows, dude. Nobody knows. And like when people tell me, "Oh, well, God spoke to me," I'm like, you know what? Fuck you, dude. Because no, he didn't. God didn't fucking speak to you. Oh well, no, he but well, nah, dude. This shit is not happening like that. Oh, well, there's signs, bro. You pay attention to whatever the fuck you put your attention to. It's gonna jump out at you, man. I believe that there's something out there. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's one singular thing. I think it's a collection of things. I think it's I guess like our bodies, man. Our bodies isn't just one thing. It's a collection of uh truthfully, once you get down to it, it's a collection of fucking bits of information, man, that our brain perceives as material, that exists, and that that's there, and it's hard, and it exists. Nothing really exists. It's just Some other shit, man. We it's just our brains are just processing well things we don't. I don't know, dude. I'm not a scientist, man. But it is cool to explore and think about, dude. You know, but yeah, man. I mean, this life is it's one big enigma. It's one big mystery, and I think the one thing that I'm certain about is the one thing I'm sure about is making sure that regardless of what happens, I'm able to be happy and I'm able to learn as much as I can and be able to, well, pass that knowledge on and also share it here on the podcast. I've got a couple other stories of my mom being possessed, but since it's October, I'll use it on. I'll tell the other ones on some of the other podcast episodes. Um, it it's weird though because you know what, man? If it was true that those were actual possessions and that she didn't have some kind of schizophrenic episodes or whatever the fuck you would want to call it. You know what I would think? You know what I think? I think that cuz she's one of these emotional retards and she doesn't know how to deal with fucking pain and emotional distraughtness, if that's a word. Um that she probably just I'm guessing that my mom and my dad, because they were assholes to each other and they didn't fucking know how to live. They were kids, man. They were kids when they first had kids. They were like 16, 18, 17 or some shit like that when they first had kids. Fucking idiots. Fucking dumbass idiots. So anyways, um I feel like they got in a fight and she didn't know how to deal with, so like she just snapped into another fucking mind state, dude, because she doesn't know how to deal and cope with shit. That's what I think will happen. Because the reason being is because if we had demons running around like possessing her and shit, why didn't anybody else get possessed? Nobody else did. Never happened to anybody else. You know what I mean? It just didn't. Fucking dumb, bro. I'm glad I grew up and I started developing a mind of my own and asking questions, bro. Because man, I don't believe in this Christianity bullshit, dude. It's weird because it's weird when I run into smart people that believe into